Hello everyone. In this module, we are going to see the next identity of inverse trigonometry. These all identities, as earlier I said, these will make any problem more convenient, and we can solve them directly using these identities. This is one of the most important identities, and maximum places it is applicable. And one more thing I want to say, that names which I have given to identities is based, maximum are based on the identities of earlier classes, so that there you can link it up. This is just a student's point of view, and you can link it up. Yeah, this should be easy for you to keep in mind. Like I have taken this name, compound angle identities. Compound angle you have seen in 11th standard. Compound angle means either sum of angles or difference of angles. If two angles are taken, their sum or difference. So one by one I will introduce. First group I will take here of identity like sine A plus B. Sine A plus B is first in this category. This is expanded as sine of A, cos of B plus cos of A, sine of B. Now this identity we need to convert in inverse form. How to do? We consider let sine A, this is equal to x, and sine B as y. Obviously, here this in this identity you will find, in previous identities we were having only one value, one term of sine or cos to be taken as x. Here we are having two different things, sine A, sine B, cos A, cos B. So I initiated as a sine A and sine B, which is the main identity is given of sine. So that's why I considered sine A as x, a value, and sine B a different value, y. Now, as we know that cos A, this can be written as under root 1 minus sine square A. So here this can be written as 1 minus x square. So I have taken sine A to be x. Cos B, this is equal to 1 minus sine square B. So that is why, since sine B I have considered to be y, so 1 minus y square. Now I have converted right hand side values as x and y. In inverse trigonometric identities, when we derive, when we group, this is the purpose. We convert the given trigonometric functions in form of these values taken as x, y or z. Okay. So sine A is equal to x. So previous theory says that we can write A as sine inverse x, and B can be written as sine inverse y. Now all the things possible we have done. So from the identity stated, we can write sine, this identity can be written as sine A replaced by sine inverse x, B replaced by sine inverse y. Right hand side, sine A, it is x, cos B, root 1 minus y square, plus cos A is under root 1 minus x square, and sine B already taken y. Now when this sine is taken that side, right hand side, or we take sine inverse both sides, we find the first identity of this batch, sine inverse x plus sine inverse y. This is equal to sine inverse x root 1 minus y square plus y root 1 minus x square. This is the first identity of this batch. I hope you have understood. Now how to keep in mind? Let me tell you. It is looking just like the identity taken in trigonometry. How? I'll tell you. In right hand side, one time A comes with sine, B comes with cos. Then second term, their values are interchanged. That is, A angles interchange. A goes with cos and B is taken with sine. Similarly, you can see here, one time you will take x multiplied by under root 1 minus y square. In next term, y will be free from root and 1 minus x square will be taken as the square root. If this way you keep in mind, in my opinion, you will never forget this identity. This is the sum of sine inverse x and sine inverse y. Okay, now the same identity, the second one, it is sine a minus b. This is sine a cos b minus cos a sine b. Now if we compare, the only change in the identity taken first is of sign. It was plus, so here is minus. So similarly, otherwise proof we will do the same. So if we go ahead with the same method, then the only change which we will find is of sign. So we will get the identity which is obtained from this will be sine inverse x minus sine inverse y. This is equal to sine inverse x under root 1 minus y square minus y under root 1 minus x square. This is the second identity of the batch. This is the second one. Now how can we apply? What is the use of this? I will take one example. Suppose here we are having sine inverse 2 by 3 plus sine inverse 1 upon 5. This is to simplify. If I compare, this can be seen as the first identity. The value of x is here 2 by 3 and value of y comes to be 1 upon 5. So by comparison, the right hand side we can express in terms of 2 by 3 and 1 upon 5. This what is the use of identities? Let me tell you, like you can see this example, sine inverse x and sine inverse y, two terms are given of sine inverse function. Maybe more terms are given, 2 or more. Then combining them, we are making it a one term only. Okay, so this can be considered to be the addition of these two. This identity is for the subtraction of these two. So this way we can convert in one function, one term only. Now this example will help us out to understand it better. Sine inverse 2 by 3 plus sine inverse 1 by 5, as I said, this is x, this is y. Now applying. Right hand side is given sine inverse 1 x. As we have taken x 2 by 3, so 2 by 3 multiplied by under root 1 minus y square. So 1 minus square root 1 upon 5. It's 1 upon 25 plus addition is given, so here also plus. Now 1 upon 5 as it is multiplied by under root 1 minus square root 2 by 3, so 4 by 9. This way we have to simplify sine inverse 2 by 3 into this, solving 25 minus 1 24 root 24 by 5 plus 1 upon 5 as it is 9 minus 4 root 5 by 3. So this way we obtain sine inverse 2 root 24 by 15 plus root 5 by 15, and finally we can write this as a single term taking LCM 15, and we have 2 root 24 plus root 5. This way we have added. This can be given as to evaluate or to add or to simplify, but in all cases we need to apply the identity. So these were two identities of this batch. Now we are going to see the identity based on cos. Next we are going to see identities on cos. This is the third in the batch. We know that cos A plus B is equal to cos A cos B minus sin A sin B. Here, as this is the identity of cos, so we will consider from right hand side cos A as x, cos B as y. For proof, we consider cos A as x and cos B as y. Therefore, A can be written as cos inverse x and b as cos inverse y. Now, since sin a can be written as just like previous identity, we can write sin a is 1 minus cos square a, so this can be expressed as 1 minus x square, and sin b as 1 minus under root cos square b. That's why this becomes under root 1 minus y square. Now these values we have to put in the identities. The main identity is replaced by cos a cos inverse x and b as cos inverse y. Right hand side, these two values we have taken them x and y respectively, so x into y minus sin we have obtained as under root 1 minus x square under root 1 minus y square. The only thing, we need to take cos inverse both sides. So first identity of the batch of cos, basically it is third of compound angle, but of group of cos we are having first identity as cos inverse x plus cos inverse y as cos inverse xy minus under root 1 minus x square into under root 1 minus y square. This way we have obtained the third identity of compound angle group. Now we see the change. When it is the identity of cos, we see that both terms of cos come together, and in second term is of sin. Okay. That's why in this identity x and y you can see x and y, the product has come in first term, and in second term both terms of square root are written. Means 1 minus x square with square root and 1 minus y square also with square root is written. And one more thing, when it is about cos, we are taking sum, so right hand side will be opposite sign. It's an identity of addition. Here you will find minus sign. Then obviously we can say next identity cos inverse x minus cos inverse y. This is equal to cos inverse xy plus under root 1 minus x square under root 1 minus y square. So this way, two more identities in the batch we have added. This was about cos. Now we will see the identities of tan. Now we are going to see fifth identity, tan a plus b is expanded as tan a plus tan b upon 1 minus tan a tan b. Now this is the property of tan. Whenever we expand it by identity, we see that in denominator the first term is 1, and it's a sign. Whatever we are taking here between a and b is similar in numerator, opposite in denominator. In general we find so. Okay. By the way, here we need to convert this in inverse form. Right hand side you can see it made up of completely tan a and tan b. So we will consider tan a to be a value. Let us consider tan a be x and tan a as x and tan b as y. Therefore, a can be written as tan inverse x and b as tan inverse y. So from main identity, we can say this is tan a replaced by tan inverse x plus b tan inverse y equal to x plus y upon 1 minus xy. Now when tan inverse is taken both sides, we get the fifth identity as tan inverse x plus tan inverse y equal to tan inverse x plus y upon 1 minus xy. You can see that whatever relations were there in normal trigonometry between functions, now the same expression we are having between values x and y. Here you could see tan a plus tan b, so x plus y upon 1 minus tan and tan b, it is 1 minus xy, and outside only tan inverse has been taken. So this way we can keep in mind the changes taking place in identities. And now for subtraction of a and b as the sixth and last identity of this batch, it was obviously we have to take tan inverse x minus tan inverse y. For this purpose, once you see normal identity of tan a minus b, when tan a minus b is taken, this is tan a minus tan b upon 1 plus tan a tan b. Now you see that by comparison, when it is minus, above numerator is subtraction and denominator it is addition. So the same change we will find in this identity also. When we are taking minus sign here, we have tan inverse x minus y 1 plus xy. This is the last and sixth identity of this batch, compound angle identities. And every time these are actually based on addition and subtraction of inverse functions. Okay. Now we are going to see one example of this group, that how to apply this identity. Let's see. In this example, we are given to prove as a question, prove that sin inverse 5 upon 30 plus cos inverse 3 upon 5 is equal to tan inverse 63 upon 16. If I see, obviously we have to take LHS as it is expanded. We can simplify. This is only one term here, but the point to be noted, like this is sin inverse term, this is cos inverse term. We have seen identities of compound angle, but we have not seen such a form. That is, either both should be sin inverse or both should be cos inverse. Means we have to convert either sin inverse in cos or cos inverse in sin inverse. But how to convert? If you remember in earlier lectures, I have taught you the use of Pythagoras theorem. So for sure, we will use Pythagoras theorem for this type of conversion. Whenever from one inverse trigonometric function to other we go. And here is no multiple. Okay, if any multiple is available, then the pattern will be different. So that's why here we can use Pythagoras theorem for conversion. This is one thing. But right hand side we need to prove the term as tan inverse. Then obviously, if you are adding both terms of sin inverse, then the result comes in sin inverse form only. You can see the list of identities. If both of them are cos inverse, still the result comes in cos inverse form. And later on, obviously, we need to convert the result in tan inverse form using Pythagoras theorem. Okay, so this also may be a planning. You convert first term as tan inverse, second term also as tan inverse using Pythagoras theorem, then apply the identity of tan inverse addition as plus is given. And as I am advising, so tan inverse identity application will be the best one. Okay, like let's start. I solve it using tan inverse first. I will convert sin inverse 5 upon 30 as I see. Sin inverse 5 upon 30, obviously this is perpendicular, this is hypotenuse. So by Pythagoras theorem, base is equal to hypotenuse square minus perpendicular square, which comes to be 169 minus 25, 144, and this is 12. So that's why when I write this as tan, so this can be written as tan inverse perpendicular upon base means 5 upon 12. This is first term we have obtained. And the second term, cos inverse 3 upon 5. So by formula, this is b base, h hypotenuse. So by Pythagoras theorem, perpendicular in this condition will be h square hypotenuse square 25 minus base square 9, which is 16. So under root 16 gives you 4. So that's why this and tan inverse form can be written as perpendicular upon base, as we have obtained 4 as perpendicular, base is 3. So this is equal to 4 by 3. Now that's why LHS, this can be written as tan inverse, first term, tan inverse 5 upon 12 plus tan inverse 4 upon 3. Now you compare. we can apply first identity, which is equal to tan inverse x plus y in sum of these two, divided by 1 minus x into y. So 5 by 12 into 4 by 3. Now which simplified, so we get here 12 as LCM, and this will be 4 4 is 16, 16 and 5. 21 by 12 as numerator, and here 12 here 36 minus 4, 5 4s are 20, 36 minus 20 is 16 upon 36. Now we can simplify this further, and we will have this in the final form. In final form, we can write this as, after cancellations, 12 ones are 12 threes are, as tan inverse 21 threes are 63 upon 16, which is RHS. Now this way we can prove. This was one method in which I said we have already planned that LHS will be converted completely in tan inverse, then right hand side will be obtained. But every time I cannot expect all students to do so. So the second method in which we will simply convert both of them in sine or cos, then we will find RHS. That also I will write here. Let's see. Now second method for the same question, we are taking LHS, but for that purpose, like I will convert cos as a sine first, so that identity is applicable. So recently, like we applied Pythagoras theorem, this is B, this is H, so P we obtained as 4, perpendicular we obtained as 4. Therefore, this term of cos inverse can be written as sine inverse perpendicular upon hypotenuse means 4 upon 5. Now LHS, this can be written as sine inverse, first term as it is 5 upon 30, and second term we have sine inverse 4 upon 5 after conversion. Now we know the identity of addition of sine inverse, that sine inverse x plus sine inverse y, this is equal to sine inverse x under root 1 minus y square plus y under root 1 minus x square. Now this thing, when we apply, we see that x is 5 upon 30 we will take, and 4 upon 5 is y. So will be written as, will be concluded as sine inverse 5 by 30 multiplied by under root 1 minus square on 4 upon 5, it is 16 upon 25, plus 4 upon 5 as it is, under root 1 minus square root 5 by 30, so 25 by 169. Now this whole we have to simplify. That's why I was suggesting you to apply tan inverse identity. Reason, because here this is a bit complicated, but still depends on your choice. Yeah, 25 minus 16 is 9. 9 upon 25, when you find the square root will be 3 upon 5. We get sine inverse 5 by 30. This we get 3 upon 5 plus 4 upon 5 as it is. Here we get 169 minus 25 is 144. So the square root will be 12 by 13. 12 by 13. Now we need to simplify. We get sine inverse 13 5s are 65. One more thing. Here I do not in general cancel, like 5 to 5 is being cancelled out. Why? Because we need to take LCM. So if I do not cancel, then we will find the same denominator in both terms. Very silly thing, but still important. 13 5 is 65. So we will get here 65, 5 3s are 15, and 12 4s are 48. Here we get sine inverse 63 upon 65. Now, this is the step about which I was speaking. We converted both of them in sine inverse. simplified, we obtain the result in sin inverse form. But the requirement in right hand side is tan inverse form. So here we need to apply Pythagoras theorem once again. Okay, now this is sin inverse, P perpendicular, H for hypotenuse. I need to apply Pythagoras theorem to find base, as tan inverse will be taken with P upon B. So this will be base B is equal to H square minus P square, means square on 65 and square on 63. So this will be 538 and 6612 into 2 root over 256. So this is 16. We have obtained. Okay, so base as we have obtained 16. That's why this thing will be equal to tan inverse perpendicular, which is remaining as it is, upon base 16, and it is RHS. So this way we will obtain the result. No problem is there, but the choice is yours, whichever pattern you want to follow. So this was the batch of compound angles. I hope you have understood very well. Now we will see next batch of identities next lecture. Thank you.